hard for her to get away from the farm and the animals in her care. Plus the logistics of suitable vehicles, long dirt roads and floods often interfere. City people cannot imagine the effort it takes for her just to get to Emerald to catch a plane to anywhere, or the difficulties and uncertainties of remote reception for power, internet, phone, or the sheer amount of physical work she has to fit in between all the research. I do understand that. So we're close despite the distance. For a week last November, we two bushies got lost and goggled at city life and manned or womaned the Bimblebox and Protect the Bush Alliance stand at the World Parks Congress in Sydney, alongside with several other formidable Queensland women warriors, Patricia Julian there from Mackay Conservation Group, Sheena Gilman and Lee Curtis. And we were the only stand in that whole Congress to mention mining as a threat to conservation. Wow. But before returning to hermit mode to write the next book, which is in progress, I did manage to spend some time at Gloucester because that's now just under 2 hours from me. And there I took the big step for a pathetically law-abiding person like myself. I blame the nuns. Because I believe we're at that tipping point where good people must, and lots of us, must break bad laws until they're changed. So to encourage more people to come to Gloucester and help and utilise what media I still have, because that's what the book's about, not only to get information out there, but to get me to be able to speak. I volunteered, locked onto a gate, got arrested. 2 court dates later, where each time we had Nana support, the police had dropped the charges. Now I know that there are several equally naughty nanas in the audience, not only from the Northern Rivers blockades, but from recently at Gloucester. If you'd like to raise your hands, naughty nanas. But mainly, I joined the early morning frack site vigils and walks and minor actions and the roadside peaceful information vigil. Now here I met what I consider to be, or who I consider to be, the true heroines. Women who doggedly, undramatically and unegotistically turned up every day, knitting, talking, informing and supporting each other and resisting the wrong that is being perpetrated here. And there's a whole swag of them here today. Will you put up your hands please, all the Gloucester knitting nanas. Draw attention in non-threatening, warm and womanly ways, invite and answer queries. Now they do all this war work in between their other duties, their jobs and families. They are stalwart and subtle women warriors. Now my next book is going to be more a sequel to this one, not going to be as heavy as Richland Wasteland. I couldn't do one like that again. Partly because my life has changed so much since I wrote that book, for me and the animals with whom I lived on the mountain. And part of that has been the journey in writing this book. So it'll be a more personal book. I'm calling it, as a working title, Moving Mountains, which is a play on words because I have physically moved from one mountain to another. But also, a lot of it's going to be about women, because that's what women, particularly women, in my experience anyway, are doing every day, metaphorically. What you have been doing is moving the mountain of public opinion to bring it to be politically expedient, so that what we are seeing now is taking a tough stand on CSG, albeit perhaps not as extreme like banning it altogether as we would like, but it's become an election issue. And I do agree with Jenny that the knitting nanas have done this to a great degree. Now with the force of knitting nanas at my back, I think I could take on any challenge. One should never underestimate the knitting nanas, who appear mild, but the truth is that knowledge, like knitting needles, can be a lethal weapon. In the lead up to the New South Wales election, politicians and candidates would do well to pay attention to the words of women bearing wool, because they also bear wisdom. So I hope they listen and keep in mind the future well-being of us all, not just of their party politics, and of society, not just of the economy. And if they don't get it this time, well, we will just have to keep on pointing out that the Emperor has no clothes. But what we need is for many, many more voices to keep saying that. Sorry. The number of voices has to swell until we are so clamorous that we are louder than money, and so broad-based that we can't be dismissed by the politicians as green fanatics. We must demand from them, put people and the planet before profit again, and give us back our future. Yeah. last slide with the... Oh, the last slide was saying, after all, Nana always knows best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We do have about 5 minutes for questions for Sharyn, if anyone would like to ask her a question. Is that all right, Sharyn?
Yeah.
And the bidders.
Okay. I was so aware of people following me on the original program that I didn't want to run over and take up time.
No.
So,
Plenty of time.
okay. Oh, come on, Nanas. There's never been an audience where nobody asked a question.
So never silent. What's going on?
We're overwhelmed. Oh, she said it all.
Yes, Jenny.
What did you do in your life prior to getting involved in...
A long time ago, I was a teacher. First high school, but I couldn't cope with the disciplining. And then kindergarten, infants, which I love. And then I had kids, and then from then on, after my marriage breakup in Sydney, it's all in this book, except, as I said, for the messy bits. But that's the trade-off, giving away some personal, selective memoir to be able to weave all those disparate things together and to earn enough trust. As if we're sitting on the veranda at the mountain, I'm saying, by the way, have you heard about the knitting nanas or something like that? I did a massive different things, but ended up eventually being able to write commercially for credit unions, etc. And when I moved to the bush back to the bush in 1994 with my second partner, that's what I was doing, commercial writing. And I write for Owner Builder magazine, so I've done a few in this area. But write short stories, won a few national awards, so I'm hoping, once we've been the battle, to get back to a better mix of things like writing short stories. But the next book is a challenge to get the balance right, because it does need to reach beyond that already committed people who, and I mean, I know a lot of people have this book, can't quite get through it, but I do feel that if the people who experience those things can survive it, and I can survive writing it, people can survive reading it, but pace yourselves, because it is a shock. One lady in Canberra was so shocked when she read Richland Wasteland, she turned around and bought 100 copies and sent one each with a personal letter to 100 politicians, because she said they've got to know the harm they're doing.
Yeah.
So it is all a matter of getting the word out there and spreading the word about what's going on.
Can you turn the microphone on again? It's not on.
It is on.
Is it? Oh.
Yeah.
I'll bellow as if at kindergarten children like in the bus last night. They were sitting up the back, all the naughty ones, singing Yellow Submarine.
Yellow submarine. Nana submarine. How do you maintain, given all that weight, and I know we all feel, sometimes it's very, very, exhausting to constantly be facing this, and you more than, from that book.
Well,
how do you not get into that kindergarten teacher voice and sit them all in a naughty corner, and, how do you maintain that dignity?
It doesn't work, and I mean, once I got help, as I said, to get over that depression, because I had to go back into that dark place. I had to replay the tapes of those people to write those books, so that was hard. But then when I really felt, that's how I was brought up. You start a job, you finish it. And probably that's been growing up on a farm. It doesn't matter if it's raining or whatever, you've got to do it. And I had some good women friends, none living near me, but all remotely, who, were very supportive, if you like, to get me through that. But look, since the book came out, and I couldn't believe when it finally did, but since then it's the people I meet. So many great people of all walks of life and of all classes, Liberal, National, voters, you name it. It's not just the people that I would have assumed are now standing up, and that's what gives me the heart. I am seeing the tide turning. I am seeing the change, and I went back in 2012 and 2013 to talk in a lot more rural areas than I had even for the research, and people there were just, we will not tolerate this. We can't trust them. They watch their governments change colour, federally and state, and they realised that they were not going to be standing up for the long-term essentials like water. So they are become radicalised, if you like. As I said, it's people power that we have to use. And yeah, you people give me encouragement and heart to keep going. So thank you. Jenny.
Oh, how was your experience in being arrested?
Oh, it was fine. I mean, really, like a lot of our things that we do, that's, the fracking was going on anyway. It was for media, and the police, gave several warnings, asked me to unlock, etc. But the police, I have to say, were wonderful at Gloucester. I think the Gloucester people would generally agree. The security were appalling, but the police were good. No, you don't agree there? Okay. By the time I was coming around, they were behaving, but maybe they'd been taught by the nanas how to behave by then.
The local ones were nice to us, local people, but the ones that come from other areas were...
Okay, well, that wasn't the experience that I had, and the judge at Gloucester had certainly shown with her treatment of the people who went before her that she understood why respectable people were standing up in front of her. She said what AGL are doing in there is legal, and she did that in court. And she said, but you have to still stick within the law as to how you protest, and I expect to see a lot more people like you in front of me, she said. So, people aren't as stupid as the industry think.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sharyn.